Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. Today is all about the Sydney Liftoff Film Festival and our Audience Choice winners. We'll be joined by Patryk, Thomas and Terry. So let's get them on board. Hello guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't we start by doing a quick introduction, and on my screen I can see Thomas first, then Patryk and then Terry. So Thomas, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, your project and what inspired the story.
G'day, I'm Tom OBrien and my film is Coffee Break. It's my first film ever. I was in a point in my life where I felt kind of stuck and repetitive. I was studying maths, I was teaching maths, and that's what I was going to be doing for the next 5 years. And I thought, hey, why don't I just do something that I think I'll love? So
Amazing.
I sat down, I wrote Coffee Break and I made it.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Well, we're going to see Coffee Break in a moment, but let's find out a little bit more about Patryk.
Hey everyone, my name is Patryk, and together with my wife Kasia, we're the directors and producers of the movie Impact. The Impact movie is a movie that helps you to make a bigger impact in the world. And in the movie, we're following 3 people through their journey, how they transform completely their communication to make a bigger impact in the world. 3 different stories that have an exciting outcome. And why we made this movie is because our legacy is to make the world a better place. And that's why we get up every morning. And we are also experts and founders of the Center for Body Language, where we trained over 100,000 people in nonverbal communication. And Impact is a lot about communication, which involves nonverbal communication. So that's why we made that movie. And thanks very much for watching it and for being enthusiastic about it. And great to join these other skilled filmmakers here at the Liftoff Sydney Film Festival. Thanks.
Absolutely. And we will be touching on Patryk's impact first. But before we do that, let's find out who our final filmmaker is. So Terry, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Hey everyone, my name is Terry Newman. I'm a Sydney-sider living in New York for 10 years. So my film is Island in the Sky, and it was a little interesting to shoot that in Sydney and do all the post-production in New York. Honestly, it took me longer than I thought it would. Island in the Sky is a musical drama, so it's pretty unique in terms of the lineup here. And it was really a tribute to a friend of mine who died tragically. We were in a band together. Was able to finish the music based off music that I'd found on his hard drive that I got from his brother, and decided at that point that, I wanted to do something a little bit bigger as my tribute to him. And what you see with Island of the Sky is that tribute.
Amazing. Well, I look forward to watching all of these, but let's start with Impact. So just moving over now, and here is Impact. So it is playing muted in the background, and Patryk, feel free to share any stories that you would like to share about Impact and the journey. So why don't we start with, you just spoke about the inspiration behind the film, but what was it that in particular made you want to make this into, this is a feature film, isn't it?
Yes, it's a 90 minutes full feature
it's a 90 minute
film.
Full feature. And where did the story start? So we heard about the inspiration, but what was the moment when you had got your pen to paper and started writing this?
Well, actually, it's our second film. Our first film a few years before that was Leap, where it was the world's first documentary about the coaching profession. And in our previous film, Leap, we followed the lives of 4 different people, how they transformed their lives through coaching. And that film came out really well, and then people started coming to us, hey, when are you going to make another movie? And
Amazing.
Can I participate in your next movie? And that's why we came up, hey, why don't we make another movie about one of our other passions, apart from coaching, which is nonverbal communication, because we're, together with my wife Kasia, we're the founders of the Center for Body Language, and where we teach business people how to use their nonverbal communication and recognize nonverbal communication more efficiently in daily conversations and in business. So that's how we came up with the idea, hey, let's make a movie, this time instead of about transformation through coaching, about transformation through changing your communication. how you communicate with others, what you hear, what you listen to, what you see, and the other way around, how you communicate internally with yourself. And it was pretty exciting to have thousands of applications of people who wanted to go through that total communication makeover. It was a tough choice after several months of screening to find 3 participants.
Nice.
And we narrowed it down to the 3 final participants that have appeared in the movie. And you can see them on your screen one by one, actually. One of them is Didi Wong, and she's originally from Hong Kong, and she moved to America when she was young. And she had the dream of becoming an international successful speaker, motivational speaker on stage.
Very
But
cool.
when we filmed her on her first appearance on stage, she was stuttering over her words. She had trouble speaking. She was so nervous about that little public of a dozen people. So, and still she had that dream of becoming a big award-winning international speaker. And we hooked her up with several coaches, trainers, experts who taught her throughout the film how to make her communication better on stage, how to get rid of those nerves, and so on, and how to change internally. She had quite a transformation to go, especially with letting go of the emotions related to her mother. And she's the one that cries all over the film. And she eventually makes it. I'm not going to give away the ending, but she becomes very, very successful at the end. That's story 1, Didi Wong, the aspiring speaker. Second one, story in the movie, is we follow the footsteps for a year of Stan DeLand. Stan has an interesting story because he is a former Marines officer, so a really tough military guy, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And then one day he had enough of that military stuff, and he decided, I'm going to start a therapeutic spray company, homeopathic sprays that make you feel better. So it's kind of sprays that you spray in your mouth, and you cures your better sleeping or stress or other things. Very homeopathic, very holistic, very spiritual. All his military guys thought he was crazy. Yeah, that's what he wanted to do.
Okay.
And the stage where we met him at was that he was already very successful with his company. He was making almost $1 million per year
Oh, wow.
of revenue, but he had a lot of loss every year, and he had to borrow money from his parents, from other sources. And then his sales just didn't take off. So that's what we worked with him on together during that year, and together with the other experts, how to increase his sales by improving his communication. And then the third story is Megan Willett. And she has also quite an interesting story, because when we started filming her and following her story, then we found out that she lives on the couch of a friend. She didn't have a home. She didn't have anything, actually. She did have a job, luckily, that didn't pay well, but she lived on the couch of a friend. So she definitely had to make some changes in her communication, especially internally, what she really wants to achieve and how she's going to get up from that couch. And but because she wasn't young anymore, she was over 30. So it's an exciting story to watch her develop. And the ending, or the change that she discovered on the way, was very, very surprising for us. We didn't expect that at all. So that she was going to go that direction. And it was a pretty big change for the film crew as well, because we set out in the beginning with a certain idea. Yes, we're going to go that direction. But then, she went a total different direction. So So yeah, it was exciting to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned that you chose 3 stories after interviewing so many different people. And this is obviously a feature film. Have you thought about perhaps using this concept as a web series or a series where you could then include more stories, and it's a collection of these stories of where you've helped them along the way in getting to their goals?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're working on different other productions as we speak right now. We have 2 more movies being released in the meantime, and more movies we're working on. So we're having a lot of fun with making movies that make a difference in the world. Also, it's quite special, the style of our movies, because we kind of don't call them documentaries because they're a mix between a documentary and a full feature fiction narrative movie. Why? Because we call it real cinema. It's a blend between the reality of a documentary, everything that you see happens for real,
Yes.
but, or rather, and at the same time, the quality is really very cinematic. And it looks like a full feature fiction narrative film.
Yeah.
That's why we call it real cinema. So there are no
So-
interviews, no head talks, and so on.
So going back to that idea, what did you shoot on? What cinematography did you use here?
We shot with really good people.
Always
I think
the
the
best
camera
way.
is pretty
Best
much
way.
the same as the other filmmakers. We use mainly a Sony FS5 and
Okay.
then A7 Mark II, so the pretty standard cameras for quickly moving around. Nothing fancy there, but the way you shoot it, the way you set up the lights, the way you prepare the people, and the way you improvise when things go completely different than you expect. That takes quite some experience, and that's what we had in the previous filmmaking experiences.
Amazing. So it's great that you were able to use that knowledge and then put it into this feature film, which is obviously fantastic. So what is the plan with this? You said that you're working on lots of other different things at the moment, or productions along the same lines. But what is the plan with this film? What is the plan with Impact? Is it currently doing the festival circuit, or are you looking for distribution?
Yes, it's still in the film festivals as we speak right now, and it's going to be released in 2 weeks on the website, on our website, impact.film.
Okay.
A special pre-release that people can watch on our website, impact.film. It's going to be for free for 24 hours, and after that, it will also appear on Amazon, iTunes, and so on. The aim of the movie is that a lot of people get inspired. Our aim is to
Amazing.
inspire 10 millions of people to have more efficient and better communication for a more happier and successful world.
Sounds great. And when you said that Amazon and iTunes, is this self-distribution, or did you have a sale agent on board to get you into that position?
So yes, we have our agent that works on us on several movies with that. Yes.
Amazing. And that's fantastic to hear, because there are a lot of filmmakers who have made their first or second feature film, don't know where to go with it after. So I'm so glad to hear that you have a sale agent attached who can then do all of these distribution deals for you. So very well done. And remind us again of when it is available online.
So it will be available online in 2 weeks from now. You can see the date and all of the stuff, all the details to register for free on impact.film. I'll put it in the chat right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that's Impact. But as yourself as a filmmaker, what is next for you? You mentioned there a couple of other productions that you're working on, but what is the next thing that you are going to do after the release of this film?
So after the release of the film a month later, we're releasing another film of us, which is called The Earned Life. It's about the life. It's about the life and work of Marshall Goldsmith, who's the world's #1 leadership thinker. That's what's up next for the viewers. And also we're right now working on several other movies. We're working also on a movie about the life and work of John DeMartini, a teacher and a workshop a leader who has been featured in a known movie, The Secret, as well, and 40 other documentaries. We're making the documentary about his life and work.
Amazing.
Because he's an amazing system to heal your emotions and be more happy and successful. He has appeared in one of our previous movies as well. And then we're working also on another movie called Big Stages. It's kind of the story of Didi Wong, the woman from Hong Kong who has been featured in our movie Impact,
Amazing.
but just a movie about several other people who achieved big success as a speaker on big stages. So we like that concept. It worked out really well in Impact, and that's what inspired us to make a movie just about speaking on stage. So yeah, and we have a few other projects in the pipeline as well. We're working as well on a Netflix fund to collaborate with Netflix with several other movies. So it's been exciting times, especially since we broke the record of the most funded documentary ever on the Indiegogo platform.
Oh my God!
And
Congratulations.
then,
What was your target?
thank you. So we raised back then it was $360,000 just on Indiegogo.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
For the campaign.
well done. Okay, so let's just stop for a second. You raised that amount of money. Please share some tips that you had in order to get that much money, because a lot of filmmakers who work in narrative and documentary go down the crowdfunding route. So I'd love to hear maybe your top 3 tips on crowdfunding.
Well, with pleasure. At the same time, I'd like to clarify that for every one of our movies, for each movie, we raised $1 million. So crowdfunding is just a little part of it. We focused on raising funds behind the scenes, and each of our movies, for each of our movies, we raised $1 million. We have developed a kind of signature system, which seems that nobody in the world can replicate that. It's a pretty special system, and how we came up with it is because I'm going to go to the tips in just a moment. But how we came up with it is that in our first movie, Leap, which was about coaching, I said to a few of the top coaches and top experts in the world, including the advisor to Richard Branson and Steve Jobs and so on, I said to them, let's do an exchange. You can be for free in our movie, which will give you branding, visibility, and exposure. And at the same time, in exchange, you will teach me and coach me how I can become better at raising funds. So all of the best experts in coaching and in the world, in business and so on, I had them at my disposal to work with me on raising funds. So that took really off really well, as you can see. I remember that when I came to one of the first sessions with those coaches, with my business plan, they shook their head and said, Patryk, with that approach, you raised $200,000 tops. You can't go over it. I said, yeah, that's my aim. Why don't you make it $1 million? I said, yeah, I have no idea how. Well, this is how you do it. Pop, 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 pop. And in half an hour, I had a plan where I could raise $1 million. So yeah, definitely. That's actually tip 1. Get an expert on board. Get somebody who has done it before and work with them.
Yeah,
because it's not just one little thing. We have an ebook on our website on Wezowski.com. It goes through 15 steps that you need to take to that have worked for us to raise $1 million every single time over and over again. But it's taking action that requires quite some effort and work. When we raise $1 million, it's 1 year of work. It's 1 year of work to raise $1 million, and not just alone with a few people together, doing different things, doing calls, following up, messaging people, partnering, affiliates, you name it. And yeah, it's a lot of work. So that persistent determination to going for it, that's actually tip 2. That determination, never giving up. That's what you really need. And also a coach can help you with that. And because my wife, Kasia, she has 3,000 hours of coaching experience, well, we were coaching each other and keeping the spirit high. Even now in coronavirus times, we're still raising funds successfully. Our business hasn't slowed down. The demographics have changed, the type of the sponsor has changed, but our business hasn't slowed down in raising funds for new movies. It's the approach, it's the mindset that you need to have that determination. And if you're speaking to a potential sponsor and you're happy, you're showing that you are going for it and not giving up no matter what happens, they feel that confidence. They feel that confidence in your voice, they see it in you. And if they feel that, they will want to support you. They'll be open for that. So many people go like, oh, I'd like to raise a little bit funds for this, and yeah, it will be a nice film. That doesn't work. What you need to do is say, this will be the best film ever. And if you come on board, then in exchange for this, you'll get this. And this film is a once in a lifetime experience for you because, and so on. So you need to speak to the person in a way that, they feel your confidence.
Okay, so you're...
And then 3.
Oh, yeah, okay, number 3. Okay, number 3.
Number 3, very, very important, and many people get that totally wrong. When you're raising funds, you need to know what the sponsor wants, what are their needs, what are they looking for. And you need to find that out very, very meticulously, so you know exactly what you can give them for a large amount in exchange. So what I'm saying exactly is, on your calls with sponsors, the demonstration that I did, making the other person enthusiastic, that's just a little part of it. The huge part of it is asking questions, getting into their mind, and with empathy, feeling what are their challenges, what are their problems, where do they want to go to, and what do they want to achieve. And being able to get into that same level with them of communication, that they feel understood and they know that you can provide them what they need and you understand what they need and you can help them to achieve that. Well, if you can do that, then they will be a lot more open to going forward with you. So find out the needs and show empathy that you understand the exact needs of the other person. That's the major tip. How to do it, there are many techniques and many ways to do that. And it's also a way, after several thousands of calls with sponsors that I did, you get into, experience with it. But I started somewhere as well. So you need to just keep doing it and you'll get there.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
Find out the needs. So that's the 3 tips, basically. Get somebody on board who can help you, who has done it before, that knows the steps. 2, determination, persistence. Never give up. And show that also in your confidence when speaking to other people, that it's the once in a lifetime experience. And then 3 is find out the needs of your potential sponsor and make sure that they understand and feel that you can fulfill them and have confidence in that. So yeah, that's just 3 of the 15 steps that we have on our website, on our ebook.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thomas and Terry, have you done crowdfunding campaigns at all?
Yeah, I actually crowdfunded for Island in the Sky, and I was very proud of the $9,000 I raised. But being in the same room as Patryk, that obviously pales in comparison.
No.
Read his 15 steps before I attempted that.
Well, now you know for your next film.
Definitely.
And it's not the amount that counts, actually. Probably
Right.
you spent as much time and effort to raise those $9,000 as we spent to $1 million. It's also the business strategy and approach in it.
Yeah, it certainly took a lot of effort, but helped out.
I can imagine that. I know what it takes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Thomas?
No.
No.
I've had no crowdsourcing experience. I was worried because I'm new to any sort of creative scene, and I wanted to prove that I could do something first before I went out with it.
Well, on that note then, shall we move over to coffee break? And Patryk, thank you so much for sharing your story and your crowdfunding hints and tips. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you again. So I'm just going to move over now to coffee break.
Cool.
There you go. So that is now started. Perfect. So, Thomas, take us back. You shared your inspiration there at the beginning, but as you just mentioned, this is your kind of first step into this industry, and you were a maths teacher before. Why stop everything and make film? What inspired you to do that?
Well, I didn't stop everything either. So math tutoring was just something I'm able to fit in. I own my own tutoring business, but filmmaking it called for me. I don't know how else to describe it. I'd always wanted to do something creative, and I always wanted to do something where I was like in a leadership position.
Okay.
So my whole life I'd been writing, and I just thought, why don't I? It's like, it's very indescriptive of me, of someone who says they want to be a director, but I just took the leap, and through tutoring and through university, I've met a lot of people. And a lot of people want to do a lot of things. Some people want to compose. Some people want to do cinematography, or like everything. So I just reached out to everyone I knew. So I crowdsourced people instead of money, I guess.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I took the leap. Yeah.
So, how was your first experiences? Tell us a little bit about the journey into the film world.
It was scary, I want to say. In fact, Coffee Break is about that almost. It's about like the fears you get when you're approaching a dream that you have, but you're not really sure what it takes to cover it as like a hurdle. And I was very, very afraid. I have huge imposter syndrome when it comes to filmmaking, especially because I have no experience. So I put a lot of time into it's dumb, but like meditation and trying to get over my own anxieties when it came around to turning a dream into a product. But I think it's what I needed to do. As soon as I got on set and I talked with actors and I talked with cameramen and everything, I fell in love. And every day since, I write and I plan and I shoot. I know Coffee Break's flaws inside and out. I've seen the film hundreds of times, but I think now I can use that chance to make something that I really know speaks truer to me.
And let me just add, like, a huge congratulations. You've done it. You've made a film. And that is just incredible. So really, really well done for taking that leap.
Yeah,
and
that's actually... Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
That's something to everyone who wants to make a film. For the rest of my life, until I die, and past then, I will now and forever be a director. And no one can take that from me. And
exactly.
Making a film.
Very true.
Cool. So take us through some of the locations that we can see here. And
yeah. This is good because I had a budget of $1.5 Australian dollars, a grand, which is about $1,000 US dollars. And I tried to cut corners with everything. So this scene right here is a cafe. She's about to leave it. But I go drink coffee. I'm a Melburnian, and I asked someone.
If I lived in Melbourne, that would be all I would do. So
I just asked the cafe owner, "Hey, can I shoot a thing here?" And most of the time, when you ask someone if you can shoot something, they're like, as long as it's not porn, they're pretty okay with it. Outside the set location that the main actress Marina is in is actually behind the coffee shop as well. And her house was the composer's house. He has this massive place he lives at with his parents. And I mean, my room looks tidy from this angle, but when you live in your own space, it's so much harder to feel like I can put an actor here. I can introduce a crew room. So I just found someone with a house. And the final scene, the set, was the only one I actually paid for. And it cost me $500 for a full day.
So basically half of your budget, or almost.
Yeah, a bit of my budget, right? Yeah, I was really stressed, but I hadn't spent anything yet. So, like, that's what we thought. That's an okay place to spend it. And it looks like a set, I think. Yeah, with the rest of my budget, I found catering was really important. I love my crew and the people I worked with. Falling in love with film meant I fell in love with the people who helped me make that real. So I bought them nice dinner, pizza, whatever we could, coffee, and Uber's home.
It's super important to take care of your crew on set and feed them. So well done for doing that. You'll be surprised at how many stories I hear of the filmmaking team just not providing any food or drink or anything for the actors, and it's a bit like, okay, well, this is a professional environment, so you should be taking care of everyone on set. So it's nice to hear that you
one
did
of my
that.
favorite stories I heard from one of the actors on set was he worked on a film where the director didn't give them anything, and then when they were doing some shots that the director wasn't needed for, they would just kind of like play the Wii just in the corner of the room by themselves, like just going on the Nintendo. I'm really passionate about what I do, so I want to make sure the people around me enjoy it.
Amazing. And you mentioned there that you're so happy with the crew that you had. So are you planning on something else with the same group of people? Are you now a collective?
So I don't know about I can't say the names from here, but the other two people on the call, I feel bad. I'm sorry. I'm really bad with names. But I could never imagine anyone for a role when I write. I would always just leave the gender blank and like the description of the character, like the appearance blank. I'll get to that when I cast someone. But now, having worked with actors, I can actually kind of see who I can put in roles. And some, I hope, if not all, of the people will be coming back for stuff.
Amazing. Let's go back a step there. How did you cast these two actors?
Okay, so Marina, the main lead, I did Star One, I think it's called. I had a friend who made a film, and she told me that that's just how you get actors. I don't know, for free. Of all the people I knew, actors were none. So I put out audition calls for the roles, and I got about 150 applicants in like a day. So I closed it, right. And everyone I thought looked like they could play the role. We just called them in, and I had a day where I booked a room at university, and I bought my friends some burritos, and we had Mario Kart, and we just call people in and be like, "Hey, you're up, read the lines." It was interesting because I'd never done that. I didn't know what an audition looked like, so I just wrote up a small script of the film, and I gave it to them, and I was like, "Hey, who did this? We'll film it so I can send it to a producer later," and that was it. Yeah.
Nice. And so from that 150 people that applied, how many did you actually get into the room and audition?
I love people, but people are bad sometimes. We had a full 18 hours of the room or something like that, and half-hour intervals, and we got about 20 people show up of the 36 slots. Not even. It was pretty bad, especially because the first person who didn't come, I called him up, and I'm like, "Hey, it's Tom. I'm the director of Coffee Break. You have the audition for the role of the director today." And he's like, "Oh, that's today."
Oh, no.
And I hung it up instantly. I was like, "Okay, I see what kind of day we're going to have."
You mentioned a website at the beginning. I kind of missed it. Was it Star Now?
Star Now, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so we have Star Now in the UK as well, and I have nothing against it. It's a great platform for anyone to come in and try acting. We also have another platform called Spotlight, and that's the one where you have to be, you're kind of vetted to be onto that platform. You either have to have gone to drama school or have got professional credits in order to be on there, or have an agent representing you. So instantly the standard is a lot higher, and that's where all of the major castings go here in the UK. And you'll have something very similar in Australia. But Star Now is literally the entry level for all aspects of the film industry.
I was worried because I was doing entry level stuff as well. And like, how do I get a professional actor to be like, "Hello, I have no experience and I wrote this script and I'm going to direct it too," to be like, "Come on board." But after it, I'm probably going to seek a more professional standard.
So it's a great way to learn all of these things about the industry that you wouldn't have known about otherwise. So you're going to learn from loads of mistakes that you've made. But yeah, very, very cool. The credits are rolling my side, so we can either let it play and you can continue talking, or we can move on to Terry's film. But there is a few questions I would like to ask you, and that is, you mentioned that you're going to be working with the same group of people in your next project. Have you started that next project?
So I have a huge background in independent music production in Melbourne. So I was just like, I contacted all my former bands, new bands, whatever. I'm like, "I'm making music videos for free. I want to build my portfolio. Like, I'll write a script for a song that you have, and I'll like, well, let's make it." So I have 3 music videos coming up that I'm making. And while I've been working on those, I've been writing a script about the fears of giving up. So
okay.
I try and write about my anxiety. It's easier than trying to come up with something creative.
Maybe. But I'm glad to hear that you've got lots of different things coming up, and music videos is a great art form, especially if you're going down the narrative route of storytelling within the music video. That will definitely help with if you move on to other short films. That's very exciting. And Liftoff do accept music videos as well, so don't forget about us when you get to that stage.
Hackadela.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Let's move on to Terry and Island in the Sky. So I'm just changing the films over here. So again, same question goes to you, really. You told us a little bit about the inspiration behind the story and that it was shot in Sydney and now you're based in New York. But is there anything else you'd like to tell us about as we enter your film?
Yeah, sure. So interestingly, I don't identify as a filmmaker, a creative certainly. I worked 10 years in advertising, so I've been around filmmaking for TV spots and otherwise.
Okay.
Currently, I lead a design team at a big New York tech company.
Very cool.
So this all really started with the music. And I think, I had been doing music in Sydney in the early mid-2000s. I was rapping. I was part of a group called 206 Collab. We released 2 albums. We toured nationally. And I made friends with this guy, Stuart Groen, really good guy, became friends almost immediately and deeply. And he was more of a rock guy, and we talked about collaborating together. So this project really was my first foray into rapping on rock type music. We had written 1 track together, and then tragically he passed away, and that was a huge shock for everyone. Particularly considering how young he was. So once the dust settled there, I approached his family and I said, hey, do you think I could access, because I knew he was producing music on the side. I asked if I could access his hard drives, and I was able to get one from his brother, and I found all this stuff that he had produced for our band, Fall Stars, otherwise, and basically took it from there and spent the next couple of years taking those productions, even like reading the title of how he'd named those tracks and developing songs off those, and was able to build it into a 6-track EP that was cohesive. So very proud of that. Pulled in my friend Natasha Adams, who was part of another band, She-Rex, that was doing well in Sydney at the time, do drums, had friends, had a recording studio and did that thing. And the Fall Stars album was finished. And I thought, what's next? How can I continue this tribute? And because he was such just a warm, energetic person, I thought the film might be a good channel to bring his personality to life in a way that had to be abstract, obviously, because I couldn't feature him in person. So I embarked on that mission. And I think that this dedication to Stu, honestly, has taken 10 years from like his death to actually delivering, and now I haven't released the film yet, but certainly I'm getting some shine on the festival circuit. So that's been a good thing.
And how has it been received at the festival circuit?
It's been good. I mean, Liftoff was my first win, and I'm so glad to have made it here, and to be able to sit with the caliber of directors that I see in Patryk and Thomas, and all the rest of the films that I watched during the festival. Had some luck with a selection in Ireland. I'm currently vying for a top dog position in New York, which is really like the whole thing for me. If I can get Sydney, I can get New York, then I'll be very satisfied, and looking to release in February of 21.
And when you say release, in what form are you looking to release this?
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I think that the approach to the film is basically, I call it a musical drama. I would say that it's a long-form music video. I think like one thing that's important about that is the 6-track EP is narrative in its own right. And I kind of feel nowadays, you listen to a track as singles, you might pick up the album, but you're kind of skipping between tracks. And I was looking at a way that someone could listen to the EP from beginning to end, because there is a dialogue there, a narrative there that I wanted to convey. And I felt like the film mechanism was a good forcing function to have someone like really be able to consume that story, digest it, and finish it. So yeah, that's the long way of saying that. Probably just release it on the website, and then that's when the actual music will be available. So I guess traditionally you would call that an album. I call that the soundtrack to the motion picture.
Amazing. And will that be available on Spotify and iTunes and
Yes, going to go that whole route.
Fantastic. And I love the fact that this does have a narrative throughout the whole piece, and you're taken on a journey. I think that is so important, and I feel like you've done a very, very good job in keeping the audience captivated throughout as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well done. And it'll be interesting to see how it does do on the festival circuit. So do keep us up to date with the current submissions that you have rolling in. So yeah, very cool.
I shall.
You've shot across a lot of different locations here as well, and you said it was shot in Sydney. Whereabouts was it shot?
Yeah, so this is shot in Sydney in 2014. So
Okay.
it's actually taken me 6 years to complete this. Yeah, and I think that I was already living in New York for 4 years at that time. Had gone back for a little summer break and decided with my friend who was the executive producer on this, Erasmo Raimondo, who was running a production company, that we would take this project on. Shot it over, I think, like 3 weekends around the inner west of Sydney. So the green screen shots, which you see is like the control room.
Yeah.
You'll see that pop up on the screen every now and then. That was shot in his studio. He's got a chroma key psych there, which we were very lucky to have. And then to Thomas's point, I mean, like a lot of the location stuff, it's true. You can approach friends of friends or even complete strangers and say, hey, would you mind, like, we show up at 6 o'clock in the morning and shoot in your cafe, or like even open your bar at like 2 a.m. on a Monday morning. And for some reason they're like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. And it's not even about the credit or acclaim. I think just people want to help out if they can see that you have an authentic drive and like a project that you're passionate about. So very fortunate there. Did the shooting, and then that was directed by Nick Radford in Sydney. It's kind of an interesting project in that he directed the production, and I very much directed the post-production, which was almost entirely done in New York. So I was able to take that footage back and get that cut by Ryan Harrington, who works in New York as an editor in a famed suite in Soho, which is amazing. I mean, I think one of the reasons why this project took me so long was, first of all, even after raising the $9,000 on the Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, I completely underestimated how much time it would take, but also the cost of something that was as ambitious with the visual effects as this is. And honestly, I would not be that ambitious in the future. I think that, I didn't have enough money. I wasn't able to really substantially secure New York or Australian talent in like the post-production scene, just because, they're commanding huge rates.
Yeah.
And I probably put another $10,000 of my own money into it. So I think that was a great experience, actually, because in the end, I was able to get VFX, color, sound design done all across the world. I mean, I worked with artists that I found on Upwork.com in Australia, in the US, Brazil, Cameroon, Croatia, the Philippines, India. So it really was a huge effort. And I think like a lot of, as I said, I shot this in 2014. A lot of what's been happening in the last 6 years was, first of all, running that Indiegogo campaign. I mean, Patrick's right. Like, that was 3 months of dedicated marketing, like posting every day and probably annoying the shit out of my family and friends, to be honest. But yeah, to his point, like, persistence is key, and you don't think you're hitting, but I promise you, if you run something like that and you kind of have the right amount of rigor and know how to market yourself well, in the 11th hour, people will start giving you thousands of dollars. I should really extend a special thank you to the Groen family, who is Stuart's family, the guy who passed away, for really supporting on the money front as well. So yeah, after running the Indiegogo campaign, just like finding the right artists and performing like the VFX tests and ensuring that person was going to come through. I mean, if you don't have a face-to-face relationship, it's difficult, right? To motivate people. I find it
very hard to work with people who you've never met, and like conversations like this is absolutely fine, but do you really understand what it is exactly I want out of the piece? I don't know. So I do feel like it's way more back and forth than it would be if you were in a room together where you can just instantly share those ideas and thoughts as they come up. But
totally. Yeah. I was lucky to have built rapport with some of them, and honestly, there was some failures as well. I mean, we'd embarked on, 3-6 month engagements to do one thing, and, maybe some money was lost, or they decided they weren't into it anymore and you have to move on to the next person. So that really was a learning lesson. I think if I was to do this again, I would be less ambitious with the visual effects, as I said before. But also to Patrick's point, like, try and raise more money up front, because filmmaking isn't cheap, particularly if you want to do it well.
Exactly. And the thing that a lot of people forget about is then the festival submissions, and that costs a lot as well. So we always tell filmmakers to save a third of their budget, whatever their budget may be. Just try and save that third, so then after you can go down the marketing route and you can go down the film festival route and not have to be sitting there going, I want to submit to all these festivals, but I have to now pick one or two out of the list that you had planned for because it was an oversight. So yeah, money.
Totally.
It's just the way it is. But yeah, no, again, huge congratulations on being able to create all of this for that initial money that you raised, and then what you've added to it as well. It looks absolutely fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the visuals here. What did you shoot on as well?
Yeah, so we shot this on just like Canon DSLRs with master prime lenses.
Nice.
I was fortunate enough, like through Raz, the executive producer, to have brought in crew that he'd been working with on different projects. So, we were shooting this on the weekend and like cutting deals with like the rental houses to see if we could get like rigs and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, we kind of like, we shot on those, and we were happy with the look. I think at that time, it felt cinematic. I know that there's like different trends in terms of like visual qualities, but I'm still very happy with this. And then the post, like this control room shot that you see on your screen here was shot in that studio against the green screen. The light effect that you see for Stu, that was kind of like in this, this film was about getting over a heartbreak and him kind of being my guiding spirit. And that's the way that we thought about bringing him to life. So that was all done in After Effects and other compositing technologies. So yeah, that's basically it. I think it was difficult to make the VFX look good or like reach my benchmark. And I know that they're not world-class, particularly having friends who are like famed directors and who work with much higher budgets. I'm talking in the tens of millions of dollars. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result considering.
Yeah, and you absolutely should be. Well done. Very well done. What is next? What is next for you? Are you continuing making film, or are you back in the music scene? What does your future look like?
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I mean, you work in New York, you're pretty busy, right? Also on the side, I founded a skateboarding and action sports app that has now 50,000 users. We're doing 1,000 users a week. So
wait. I'm an avid skateboarder, very amateur, but I absolutely love it. What is this app called?
It's called Loke. You can find it at getloke.com. Download it at getloke.com/app. It is the biggest skate spot app in the world. We have 20,000 spots across 104 countries, 50,000 skaters, and
in the UK as well.
Growing, yeah, a lot in the UK actually. It's pretty crazy. So that's kind of been my side hustle, and we're trying to get that off the ground. Been running that for a couple of years and seeing a lot of success there. We actually have made a promo film for Loke that you can find on the getloke.com website. It wasn't directed by me, but certainly creative directed by me. So I guess you could consider that informally my second film. So there's likely to be more content for that. In terms of another film, I don't know if that's necessarily in my future. I think like musically, one thing that I've been thinking about, is doing a New York rap album with people that I've met, friends that I've made there who are heavyweights in the hip hop scene. And for some reason at this point in time, it's okay to have an Australian accent and rap in New York. So why wouldn't I take that opportunity? So there might be a Island in the Sky 2, or I don't know.
Amazing.
Island in the East Village or something like that.
That all sounds wonderful, and I'm glad to hear that all three of you are so busy with different projects, and you've got lots of things going on. It's been an absolute delight speaking to all three of you. So thank you for joining us on this stream today. And I am 100% going to check out that skateboarding website.
Please do.
So thank you for sharing that.
Even Thomas, for the longboard, you could use that too, man.
Yeah, I just installed it.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go. Perfect. Do you guys have any final thoughts that you'd like to share between yourselves?
No, not for me.
Well, I applaud the great artwork of Thomas and all the other filmmakers here at the Liftoff Film Festival. Well, after making several films, we know what it takes, and you all did an amazing job, Tommy and Thomas and everyone here present. And so thank you very much for bringing those wonderful artworks to the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would second that. I think it was really great for me to be part of this first-time shorts, section, and be able to see the caliber of films coming out of that, and just know that filmmaking is alive and well, and young filmmakers particularly are into it. Considering like how much the world has changed, and obviously I would have looked forward to this screening IRL and in New York, and invite all my buddies through, but that didn't happen. But I think like the amount of support that I've gotten, I'm sure that Thomas and Patryk share as well online and doing this virtually, has been astounding. I mean, who would have thought that it would work, and it works so well. Yeah,
and Terry and then Thomas, I really admire the work that you have pulled off with such a budget. It's amazing, and congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I should have. It's exciting and thrilling and scary to put myself out there and to see other people put themselves out there against such high caliber films. Like, yeah, I remember watching all the films that came up with the Sydney Liftoff, and just thinking, I don't have a chance, but it feels really blessed to be able to be a part of this whole experience, especially with Patryk and Terry here.
Absolutely. And it's been fantastic getting to hear your stories and just meeting the filmmakers, because this is the highlight of hosting a live festival. You get to meet everyone who turns up and find out a little bit more about them. So just being able to do this as well, that's my highlight of the festivals, and to see all the great work that comes through. So thank you again, and we will speak to you soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. It's probably, apart from Terry, you've got the day ahead of you, but the rest of us...
I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, thank you for joining us, and
thank you.
See you soon.
Shouts to Liftoff.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.